Okay, it's recording. All right, we'll start recording. So our agenda for today is to quickly get a glance through of what we did previously in terms of the working with the like, and just quickly mention the I like tool. There's also something that exists called the I like. After we talk about that, we start talking about the grouping and having. Remember when we talked about SQL, I gave us a syntax. I said this is the general structure. Select, set it from, set it where, right? Where you used to select from and where, right? So there's the group by. I said I called it G. I told you the way I remember it, or the way I like saying it is GHO, almost like cool, like ghost or something. GHOL. Oh, so the group by having. So this is with regards to Postgres or PG admin. So having order by. So this is basically order operations. Order by and limits. So what I mean by other operations of operations is that I could have an SQL query that literally contains everything there. I can have something with the select, with the from, with the where, with the group by, with having, with order by and limits basically. Or depending on our use case, we may just have a query that we just need to use the select, to use the from, and the where, meaning that we don't necessarily need to have a query structure with all of this, but there's another operation which I mentioned. We're always going to start from the select, from, and where. It's not going to say start from the where, from, select. So this general structure, we need to kind of remember it, because as we enter the group by, as we enter the habit, you need to know, okay, where is group by going to come? Is it come? Like, is it going to come before the having? So having going to come before the group by, like just small things are just going to help us be able to run our queries faster without errors. Even if the thing I like about PGAdmin, I don't know if we have noticed, is that if we run a query with errors, you'd see PGAdmin is able to identify where our errors are. So for example, maybe I say select star, maybe select it or something.
Excuse me, sir.
Go ahead.
Your voice has itches. I don't know if Charles is hearing it because it might affect the video. It's having some scratches.
Having scratches.
I don't know.
Are you hearing me?
I don't know if it's my end, but it's having that scratch here when.
I can hear your voice clearly though. Charlie, please confirm if you could hear me. If it's the same thing on your end.
Is he insured?
Hello, sir.
Is it the same on your end?
Not really. It's just that it comes up once in a while. Just this thing. How do I put it? This TV, whatever, like say the TV is not get signal properly, something like that. But then.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because I can hear Charles clearly, but your voice is having that scratch.
Okay, no problem. I'll try to make my voice a bit more audible. I don't know if it's something I can do from my end or something. This time. So actually, again,
so can we hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Is it better now?
Yes, right now you are clear now.
Okay, so I removed my headset or earpiece. Okay, so it is better. Let's go ahead. So we'll start with something we easily did in our previous class. I think we showed this example before, but let's just quickly run through it. So something like this number one is a simple like question, right? Okay, it asks us to find the movies in the film table where the title starts with A. This is very straightforward. I will answer this first, although it's very straightforward. So that's select, right? Or from film. Remember, where title like A from film. Select all from film where title like what? Remember, I said if it's like A now, basically, uh, the question is where the title starts with A. So starts with A. I will say A. Then I'll put this percentage. Who remembers percentage? So basically, the first letter is going to be A. Then anything else, if you can remember. So if I run this, we'll see everything, but only where like okay, all the titles start with A. So if you scroll through, if you scroll all the way down, scroll all the way down, scroll all the way down, all the titles begin with A. And I said, I don't know if you remember, I said if I change this now to percentage and A, it means basically anything can there can be anything basically before A, but A is probably the last thing. Yeah, where title is like A, that's like percentage A, basically like anything can come before A. But in this kind of this thing now, A is going to be the last letter word. So let's run this and you see anything can come before A, but it always ends with A. Right? So a very simple example. Very simple example. So I'll show us one or two more examples before we move on onto the next topic. So we have a question here, and the question is that we should retrieve all movies with the word love anywhere in the title. Retrieve all movies with the word love anywhere in the title. So let's try to answer this. Maybe I should be posting it within the queries so that when we are looking through it, you can directly see the answer, the questions and the answer. So retrieve all movies with the word love. So how are we going to do this? This is also quite simplistic. So select all movies. So that's select all, right? That's going to be select all. From where? We know it's the film table, from film. We're quite aware about that. Now, where, because it said all movies with the word love. So where title, because no titles is basically like the movie name, right? Like, so this is going to be different, just slightly. So of course, I'll start with the double apostrophe because it's text I want to reference. I want to filter the text in a certain way. So I start with the double apostrophe, meaning that like, it's like the bracket open and bracket close kind of. So with the word love, LOVE. But what am I going to do now? Because normally we're using percentage, right? So also in this kind of case, we'll also use percentage, but how we write it is just slightly different. So I will enclose the edges with percentage. Normally, if I say percentage, then love right now, that means anything can come before this LOVE, but basically it's going to end with LOVE, right? If I change the direction and say LOVE, then percentage means that it's going to start with love, right, and end with anything else. And the character can be any length basically, right? So, but in this kind of case, it says with the word love anywhere in the title. It means now I'm going to put percentage at both ends. I can put percentage at both ends, meaning that like if the title has love anywhere, like just return the title or return everything basically. Only where the title has love. Anyway, it can be maybe love at the start, it can be love at the end, it can be love between the center of the title or something. So it can be anywhere within the title. So let's run this and actually see, do we actually have something with love? Unfortunately, we don't. If I try to edit this now, maybe I should change to something that we might have. We'll probably have a somewhere. So let's try this. Okay, let's do something obvious. Let's say fill. Let's say fill. Fill is more obvious. Fill. So anyway it has fill, just return. Do you know what's going on? I can tell you what's going on. So what's going on is our capitalization. Yes, now it returns. Because if you see the title, what we noticed as that it wasn't giving us the correct thing was that, oh, the titles were all in caps, all in caps, all in caps, all in caps. So let's try this again for love. So let's see if we are actually doing it the right way according to our database or according to what we have actually in our table. Although the question says LOVE like this, we notice that in our movie titles, we don't have like LOVE like this kind of capitalization basically. So let's try this again. Okay, we actually do have love. We actually have movies with love inside of them. So let me edit this a bit to something that we actually have. So we actually have movies with love, Graffiti Love, Idaho Love, Identity Lover in there. So we actually have movies with love. So you can see Graffiti Love, love coming at the end, love's coming at the end. This one, lover, there's arrow after a love. So as long as it has LOVE, it doesn't the position in this kind of case is not we're not absolutely specifying, oh, remember absolute referencing and relative referencing in Excel. So we're not saying absolutely that, oh, it must end with love or it must begin with love. It must shall have love inside somewhere. So you can see this is the output of our query. Any questions?
Sorry, sir. So in essence, you have to have a data that how do they say this? It doesn't take note of whether you have what's it called. It has to be the same data type. Maybe if it's uppercase, it has to be uppercase through all through, and lowercase, it has to be low.
Yes, that's what happens when you're using like. It's case sensitive.
Okay, like is case sensitive.
Yes. As you can see, when I say LOVE with the normal question, of course, we don't have LOVE with L as capital letter and OVE as small letter. That's why when we run this, you see nothing. But when we change the capitalization, basically we change the question slightly, we actually see, query outputs that, we have love, LOVE, all capitalized in the title.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do one. So what if so the thing about this what's called this with the like state, using the like here, right? It's case sensitive. There's actually an alternative to the like within Postgres. So let me copy this and use the original question. The alternative to the like in Postgres is called I like. I like. So if we, instead of using like, we use I like, where title I like, LOV with lowercase. So let's use the lowercase one, lowercase love. So alternate two. So let's use the lowercase love. But now instead of like, I say I like. Where title I like, LOVE. This one now will ignore the casing. So let's try it if we're correct. So it ignores the casing. As long as LOVE exists, regardless of the casing, it outputs, it gives us a query output. So retrieve all the movies we love. So when I call this love, when I call it that's capitalized, or if I do it in lowercase, or if I start the L with uppercase and everything lower, as long as you use I like, it ignores the casing and finds its instance of that text or letter. So with that in mind, I think we can answer the next question. The next question is find, so this one I will leave us to, what's the word? Let's do question 3. Will just be something for us to play around with. So let's do question 4. So retrieve movies. So I want to be guided on this just from the example I just gave. Basically, you can be able to answer this. But let me write the question down here so that you can see. So retrieve movie titles containing the word star, ignoring the case. Can anyone help me out?
Let me give it a try.
Okay.
Select
Okay.
title
Okay.
from
From
film.
film
Yeah. Where
where
title
title
I like
I like
percentage sign
okay
star.
percentage star.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Another percentage sign.
Okay, yes, because containing star, so it doesn't matter the position as long as it has STAR all together. So let's run this. Okay, we do have star operation, turn star. Gloria, I hope this is fine for you.
Yes, I'm okay.
No problem. No problem. So thank you very much, Papa Charlie. So the next question also, I'll actually send us a link with this questions all here. So anyone you see red in this our case, maybe I should change them to blue. Anyone you see that's red, that's blue, you would just play with that. Basically, I've given you as what's it called? Kind of like a classwork or assignment. Let's say assignment, extra assignment. So anyone that's blue, we don't need to answer because we have already answered something similar. But you can test that out. So let's also talk about, we've talked about limits. Show the first 10 rules, first 10 movies from the film table. I think that will be very easy for us. That will be select. If we're doing it, sure. Should we do this? Okay, let's quickly do this. Right, that will be select title from film. So you can, I'm just reminding us how easy it is from film. Limit 10. Are we doing it well? We should. So it's showing us the first 10, for example, right? For example, showing us the first 10. So I think this limit is quite easy, but I still want to show us something we call the offset. Not offset the wrapper, but another kind of offset. Yeah. So this takes us now to answering the next question. Would skip 7. I would skip 7. I think 7 is something we can be able to answer. But if you feel like that we should answer it right, we can do it. Somebody will guide me in class to do that. If you want to just test your knowledge, but I think probably I've given an assignment looking like this, probably. So because of that, we'll look at question 8, pagination with offsets. It tells us here that we should retrieve the next 10 movies after skipping the first 10 ordered by release year. Now this is looking a bit, it's not really looking that overly complex, but it's looking a bit strange, I'm sure. So here's the question. Retrieve the next 10 movies after skipping the first 10 ordered by release year. Basically, normally, just like this question, right? With the limit 10, it shows us the first 10, right? But what we are adding to this now is something we call the offset. What does offset do? What does offset do? Offset basically skips over. Like it goes like, if I say offset 5, I'm skipping by 5. I'm skipping my query result by 5. So it's like going to the next 5 things, like saying next, like, but I have the ability, like when you have your remote control or something, you want to change, you want to like, we want to like fast forward something or maybe change the next movie. I mean, episode 1, I want to change to episode 2. I'll just press next, we'll go to the next one. For the offset now, we can customize how that next works. So I can say next 5, maybe from episode 1. Now, if I say next 5, it's carry me to episode 6. It's carrying me to episode 6. So that's what the offset does. So let's actually now answer this question. So I want us to see how quite easy it could be. So select all. So I could just focus on the title only, but let me just bring everything out. Select all, right, from film, right? So one next. Retrieve the next 10 movies after skipping the first 10. Ordered by release year. Don't forget it's ordered by release year. From film, don't forget that order by release year. Order by release year. Right? Order by release year. We're not done. Retrieve the next 10 movies after skipping the first 10. So basically, limit 10. If I say limit 10, we're not done yet. It just gives us the first 10 movies. We get the idea of this. Since we ordered it by release here, you can see now Academic Dinosaurs is number 10. Because if you look at the release here, okay. It's ordered by release here. Yeah, it's ordered by release here. So we get that part, but like we are not actually done because we're adding the offset. So retrieve the next 10 after skipping the first 10. So now this is basically us combining limit and offset. So I'll say limit. If I say limit 10 and give us the first 10, we actually want the next first 10. So like basically the next instead of top 10, this is like from the 10th position or from 11th position to the 20th position. This sounded a bit confusing the way I explained it, but basically we're skipping the first 10 into the next 10. So it's like the skip on your remote control. So like, what we're going to do is literally say offset 10. And when we run this, instead of showing us 1 to 10, it shows us like the next ones after. Ordering by the release here. I don't know if we have a question. The next 10 movies after skipping the first 10, meaning okay, we need the first 10, but we're going to skip it. As I would say, offset 10. It's like skipping 10 steps or skipping 10 episodes to the next 10. So if I'm in episode 1, or if I just open the maybe I don't know how your DVD player is, maybe you can just open it, maybe on episode 1, if you say skip the next 10, of course 10 plus, that's going to be episode 11, right? I don't know if you understand this or we're finding this confusing.
I understand it, sir. I get it.
Thank you very much. So
So kindly repeat.
Sorry?
Repeat the offset.
Okay, so what I'm saying now, we know the limits, right? If I ask, what does limit do? Limits basically like brings out, if I say limit 10, out if we have 100 rows in our data, and I say select all or limit 10, right, what's going to do is going to bring us just 10 things. Yeah, probably go the first 10 things from our data. So I said limit 10, I don't want to bring everything. We get that part. Right? Or if I now add the offset to the limit, offset 10, it now instead of bringing that first 10 things, it's going to skip the first 10 and go to the next 10. So the question
literally start with the 11th.
Yeah, sorry?
The offset will start at 10, at 11.
Yes, at 11.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it starts. So the offset basically skips. I think the question even explains the offset. The next time we start skipping the first 10. The question even gives more explanation about it. If you look at the question again and look at how to offset 10, you can see it's a bit what's the word? It's as if it's explaining itself more. It's explaining itself more. So I will do one more. We'll do one more. What's it called? One more question. We'll answer one more question to just solidify this, and any other question on the offset we'll answer ourselves. So you are going to do this by yourself. I would quickly scan or we'll look at this this question together. So what's the question? What's the question? What's the question? Let's paste it. Show movies 21 to 30 inclusive based on their rental rate sorted in descending order. This is not confusing, but it just looks long. Yeah, good evening, Williams. Evening, William, welcome. So this is not confusing, but it just looks long. So let's see how we'll answer it, and you'll be like, oh, this is quite easy. So select all. I select all from film. We get that part from film. What next? What next? Order by rental rates, because you can see based on the rental rates. Rental underscore rates. Based on rental rates. What else? What else? Yes. In the same order. Based on rental rate des. Now, we're not done. Limit 10. Oh, not limit 100. Limit 10. Offset. How are we going to offset this now? We want to see movies from 21 to 30.
I think offset by 20.
By 20, you are correct. You're very correct. So this gives us the answer of what we want. Straight up. Straight up, straight up, straight up, straight up, straight up. This is basically the answer. This is our answer. We have it. There we have it. Glory, are we all right?
I'm trying to run mine. Let me see. It's bringing an error. Okay.
Just if you write it as it is, it shouldn't give an error.
Yeah, I've seen the mistake where it was, but I've understood the concept.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's very good. That's very good. That's very good. So
Yeah, it has brought.
the offset and the limit, they're not really complicated because you can just see how they work straight up. They don't do more than this. Basically, this is their range. This is their range of operation. So we want to actually enter group by and having. So this group by and having now will now like basically add up or what's it called, solidify. Let's say solidify. It will basically like make our SQL repository or knowledge a bit more full. Previously in our last class, we were was it our last class? We were exploring how you would use aggregate functions in a select. That's what we did mostly. Aggregate function is select, then we did the limit and this thing. But we've done aggregate functions select, things like the sum. You can also do calculations in the select. To have explored those interesting things. We have done those interesting things. But where does the group by come in place? Where does the group by come in place? So I will show you right now, but I just want to give us some extra some context before we look at the example, which is question 11. So where the group by is useful is that if you put an aggregate function in a select, in your select statement, and you mix it or you pair it up with a non-aggregate function, or if I say non-aggregate function, you pair it up with a normal column, you always have to group by the non-aggregate. So let me show you what I mean. I will repeat what I just said by answering this question. So the question is, count the number of movies in each rating category. Count the number of movies in its rating category. So let's see what I mean. I'll repeat what I just said also. But let's look at the question now. Is to give us some extra context. So the question is this: count the number of movies in its rating category. So how are we going to answer this? Oh, count basically. We're using count basically. We've done count before. Select rating. We want to see the number of movies in each rating category. So we want to see the movies ratings basically, right? Select rating. I'll do it like this first. Count all, right? From film. Normally, before I even do this, add this rating to it. If I say select count all from film, I'm coming, we're going towards a direction. And we're going to decomplicate this. It basically counts each instance of the rows in the film. This is what it does. This is what the count all does. But in our case now, we want to see, like for each movie rating, we want to see all total movies that are in that category. So what we'll do now is that we're interested in ratings and we're interested in counting all for where the rating. So I'll say rating. I think it's rating. It should either be rating or ratings. But if I run this now, the only thing is that if I now try this now, this count all is an aggregate function. It's an aggregate operation. This rating is a normal column, basically a non-aggregate. So if I run this, I'm going to have an error because there needs to be a group by somewhere. I need to group by this rating. So if I have an aggregate this thing in the select and I have a non-aggregate, I actually have to group by the non-aggregate. But let's confirm and see what Postgres tells us. So film rating must appear. This rating here must appear in the group by clause. Must appear in the group by clause. What does this tell you? It means anytime in SQL, so let me put this group by. When you have an aggregate in a select and you have a non-aggregate, like the rating, normal rating, I have to group by the non-aggregate. So I will decomplicate this a bit. Let's look at this. In that error, group by, don't mind me, group by rating. This is taking time. So basically we have rating and we have the count of rating. So each instance of this rating in our table, we count it. So we have R-rated movies up to 195. I don't know which one is G-rated. I know PG-13. I know PG. So these are each instances of this rating appearing in our film table. So let me also show you this. Because this why we primarily need the group by, because this rating and count all from film will not work. Because rating is a non-aggregate, is normal, you're calling a column, but count is an aggregate function, right? So unless I group by the non-aggregate now, I will not receive a result. But what you need to know is that if I have maybe I just said instead of some rating out, if I made this a bit different and I said, okay, let's just look at a lot of aggregate stuff in the select. Let's say select some rating. I say select average rating. I say select max rating. So max, I also want to see the max rating from film. There will not be errors here. You know why? Because all these statements in the select are all aggregating something. They are all aggregate functions. There will not be error. Okay, why is there error? Some written no function matches the given. Okay, what's going on? Select some written. Let's remove this. I don't know what's going on there actually. We need to add explicit typecast. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Let's just look at math. Let me try. Give me a sec. I really don't know what's going on. I will have to look. Oh, I know what. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Why that's working? Why that's doing like that is because the rating. So if you just select rating from film, rating is a. Let me just show you. Let me show you what that means. Select rating from film. Rating are actually like text. So me trying to apply aggregate function in a wrong way to text will not work. So this is what I mean. The ratings is either PG or G or whatever, right? So saying some average marks of rating, I don't know if you are seeing what's going on. It's not going to work out because how can I say that I should select the marks of a text? So what I would do is just change where that's referencing. Let's say select all. Let's look at the film table quickly. And let me tell you and let's look at the example I want to show you. So that was my bad, showing us the wrong thing. So let's use rental rates. So instead of rating here, let's use rental rates. Select rental underscore rates. So let me just copy this and let me paste. Let me also paste. So back to where we were. I'm saying select sum, select average, select max of rental rate. So it's not going to give us an error before, like rating was actually text values. So if I run this, we have three aggregate functions here: sum, average, and max. Basically, we have three aggregate functions here: sum, average, max from film. Yeah. Note, we just have aggregate functions here. We don't have non-aggregates. I didn't add up something like maybe rental rate, for example. If I add rental rate now, so let me just copy this and paste. So if I say, okay, let's change it a bit. Let's also see the rental rate. Let's also see the rental rate. So we don't just want to see the mark. We don't just want to see the sum. We don't just want to see the average. Let's also look at the rental rate. What's going to happen in this case? In this case now, we have issues because it's telling you this rental rate basically must appear in the group by clause. So what's going on here is that we have like before we had multiple aggregate functions to select, but we just had only ONLY, only aggregate functions in the select. So when we say from film, of course, there's not going to be errors because it's only aggregate functions. Yeah, but now that I have a non-aggregate, basically a normal column, right, in the select from film, I now have to group by the non-aggregate. So I now have to say add a group by clause under it. So group by letter rate. Only if I do this with the query, I'll put something. So let it work, let it work. Yes. Now that I've grouped it by rental rate, you can see the rental rate. I think there are only three types of rental rates here. So basically, we have the sum for each instance of the rental rate. I mean, for each category, because we just have 2.99 several times appearing, 4.99 and 0.99. So for 2.99, of course, we have the max, we have the average, we have the sum. For 4.99, we have the max, we have the average, we have the sum. For 0.99 all the way here, we have the max, we have the average, we have the sum. I don't know if you are grasping the concept. Is it looking confusing?
I don't understand why you are saying an aggregate and their rental rate is numeric.
Sorry, say it again, please.
You have said the first query select rental rate, average rate, maximum rate. That was an aggregate because they are values, not text.
Yes.
Then the second one you are saying it's an aggregate and yet it's the same thing you are doing the rental rate.
So the aggregate I'm talking about now is the sum. Applying the sum to the rental rates. which is like numeric figures or numeric values. If you see the sum of numeric this thing, you get everything summed together, right? It's not text. It's not normal text. You can't sum a text. So what's going on? The difference between here and here is that everything that we applied, everything we did in the select was run an aggregate function. Yes, which is, get the idea, aggregate function. I'm sure we've done Excel. Run an aggregate function referencing the rental rate, basically sum, average, and max. So we easily get an output here because we just have in the select statement aggregate functions being run on the rental rate. So if we average, max, like basically, we just have aggregate functions happening there. The difference now from this second one here is we added rental rate. I didn't say we didn't add some rental rate. We didn't add the count rental rate. We didn't add main rental rate. For example, we just added the normal rental rate. So of course, this is not there's no aggregate function in this last rental rate here. That means we're just referencing the rental rate plain, right? Unfortunately, if I say from film now, it is not going to work because the non-aggregate now, because you get the idea of aggregate, sum, average, max, these are aggregate functions. Whether in SQL, whether in anywhere you hear them, they are aggregate function. Like it loops through a lot of things and we either returns one, or like you get the idea. Sum will loop through the rental rate now and add all of them together. Average will loop through the rental rate now and look for the average rental rate, like basically the mean, right? That's the mean of the rental rate. The max will look through the rental rate column and give me the highest figure. So these aggregate function now. I now added normal rental rates to it. So it will give me issues unless I group by the non-aggregate, which is the normal rental rates here. I don't know if you're seeing.
For me, I thought when you say an aggregate, you mean a text, not values. I never thought you were saying of these summations,
Yes,
these formulas. I never knew you were talking of formulas.
The only aggregate function you can apply to text is the count universally. Or maybe if you do Power BI, it will say count distinct. Is it that count or count distinct? Like you can count.
Yeah, I understand. But in this case, I thought when you were saying an aggregate, you mean a text.
No.
You see what's confusing me is that the rental rate is in values. It's not a text. Under those the column, it's not text that are there. So you mean by an aggregate, you mean you have not put a formula before the. Okay.
Yes, I've not said something like the mean, max, average, sum. Yeah, I'm sure you get now.
Yes.
So yes. So this is the importance of the group by. This is the importance of the group by. This is the importance of the group by. So if I actually go back to this first question, right? We have answered this first question, rating. So this is us applying the counts to the rating. Count, or we're counting all instances of the ratings now. And you can see the ratings actually text. So we can count text. What if now I said, okay, don't just show me the rating. Show me maybe the title. Or let's not show me the rating. Show me the year. No, show me the title. Yes, I want to also see the title. For example, so I add title to this. Or let me add it to the end. I add title to this, for example. And I run this. I'm going to have an error. Do you know why? Can anybody guess? Or can anybody look at what the error is outputting and give me a clue? Okay, I'll tell you why. Because right now in this, let me highlight it. In this query, rating non-aggregate, count is an aggregate, and title is a non-aggregate. Or in the group by, we only put one of the non-aggregates, which is the normal rating, we will have an error. So anytime we are using aggregate function in select, we are meant to not just group by one of the non-aggregate functions or one of the non-aggregate columns it's referring to. We're actually supposed to group by all non-aggregate. So even if it's just one aggregate function that you're saying here, count all, I will also group by the title, comma, title. Oh, if I go and spell the wrong way, I will also group by the title. So now I have a query output. Now I have a query output. But the query, this one is not really the best kind of thing to do because it's basically counting each instance of anything appearing. It just counts itself of everything appearing. But this particular result is not really answering any question that makes sense. But what I'm showing you here is that even if it's just one aggregate function, if we have multiple non-aggregates, you have to group by all the multiple non-aggregates. So let's carry it back, or let me just carry it back to the correct answer. So this is the correct answer. Meeting. So this example will be additional example. So in this our case now, if maybe I put something else apart from the rental rates, might say imagine I put year also. Remember this question was, let me just copy and paste. This one now, we just added one non-aggregate, which is rental rate. What if I also add in the select statement? Remember, in the select statement, I also add year. It won't give me a good answer. Because year, you can see column E, okay, yeah, column year does not exist. I think it's release year. Release year. Oops, what did I just do? Excuse me. I think it's release year. It's not, I think, it's release year, actually. Release. What's going on with my spelling? Release year. So if I run this, release year must appear in the group by clause. Film the release year must appear in the group by. So I like that Postgres directly tells us what to do. So I'm not grouping by just rental rate. I'm also grouping by the release year. So when I run this, I would see all of these now also group by release year. So all of them, I think the release year is all 2006 for this one. So yeah. I don't know how this looks. Does it look confusing? Does it look interesting?
I have a question on the second last query.
Mm-hmm.
When you select it when you run it by that, because the first time we ran without the group by, we got the maximum, the average, and the sum. But now when you say group by rental rate, how is it selecting maximum 4.99, another maximum 2.99, another maximum 0.99? How?
Okay, the thing is, when I say group by rental rate, the thing is that let's even remove this release here. Let's look at this. It's basically this one, right? The release here didn't add anything to it. What's going on is that we have 3 rental rates. So it's like how will I explain this now? If it's like group by color. For example, if the former question right here is let's get a sum. Let's say we have a box of balls, different colored balls. I say, okay, give me the total number of balls. Give me maybe the instead of the average, let's say average, what will make sense in this kind of case, average size. And I say, okay, give me the biggest, like, okay, give me also information about the max size, for example, if that makes sense, of the ball. In the box that we have, or in the whatever the balls are kept, they are actually different color. These balls are in different colors, basically. Right? We have different, let's say we have yellow, we have blue and white. So this is the one that we are just looking at it from a general perspective. Oh, let's get the sum, let's get the average, let's get the max. generally, which is quite okay and quite straightforward. But now, when we added rental rate now, it's like, okay, it's like saying comma color. If we're looking at the balls, right? Comma color. Because it's a non-aggregate, I now have to put it in the group by, and I say group by color. So basically now, you will not see the sum, you will not see the average, you will not see the max of the ball size or ball whatever, right? Of the balls, but now it's grouped by color. So we have these three results for each color. For each color. So what's going on is that we have the sum of the rental rates, the average rental rate and max rental rate for each rental rate category. So if we actually look at our data, the rental rates are just three: 2.99, 4.99, and 0.99. So now it's grouped by the rental rate. Meaning, so for 2.999, we have its own sum, we have its own average, we have its own max. For 4.99,
So in short,
we have its own
whatever you
sum.
are grouping must be having categories. You
Like,
can't use group by where there is, for example, if the rental rate runs just one, or maybe it's the way they are in values, they are confusing us.
if
Let's say
rental
we
rate
had
is just one, you still
medium.
use group by. But the group by actually serves as two things, right? The group by is needed for us when we are working with non-aggregate functions with aggregates. Like when you're combining aggregate and non-aggregate functions in the select, you need the group by. But the group by also does one thing: it categorizes our output by where we specify. So me saying group by rental rate now, although we need first of all, we need the group by because we are working with aggregates and non-aggregates. So we are grouping by aggregates. But now the group by is actually categorizing our output per the rental rates that actually exists. We just have three. Right? So it's not just needed, it's not just only needed because we are working with aggregates and non-aggregates. It also does a function that we can't stop, right? It also does a function of categorizing. So per rental rate instance or per the type of rental rates, which is the value, we have three different values. If you actually say select all from film, you see rental rates 2.9 and 2.9, like you see have different instances, right? So if you actually look at the unique instances, we just have 2.99, 4.99, and 0.99. I don't know if that became a bit clear to you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So we would answer the next question. Let's see if we can answer the next question. I actually have some questions that are very interesting. I actually have some interesting questions. So yes, let's answer this next one. So I will need our help on this. I will be answering number 12. We'll be answering number 12. It's number 12. Or let's do this. Let's do this. I'll give us number 12 as take home as an assignment. Number 12 will be an assignment. So we would answer, which one should we answer? Okay, we have a more complex question waiting for us already here. Let's go to this sheet. So we have some things that we'll answer in class, some more complicated questions, and some more complicated assignments. So we are going to be answering this for class that you see. This for class that you see right here. We are going to be answering it, and by we, I actually mean all of us working together to answer this question. So this is a bit more complicated question. A bit more complicated question. So your manager, the question is, your manager wants to ask which of the employees, so I need to maybe to ask which of the two employees is responsible for more payments. We also want to know which of the two is responsible for a higher overall payment. And we need to know how these payments change if we don't consider amounts equal to 0. This question is entering some kind of territory. I don't know how it looks like to us. I'd like to know how complicated it looks to us. But we're answering it together right now. Or should we answer an easier question first before we come here? What do you think?
Personally,
Go ahead, go ahead.
I think it's asking for the employee that has the that has the highest sales at that receives the highest payment. I think it has to do with revenue in this case, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes, that has the highest revenue. Then maybe we'll order by descending order to know the one that has the highest among the two of them.
Yes. Yes.
Then
Yeah.
the third one, how do these amounts change if we don't consider amounts equal to zero? I don't understand what number 3 implies.
No, 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 no. You're there. You're there.
I don't understand what the third paragraph, not number 3. I think the third line. How do these amounts change if we don't consider amounts equal to zero?
So basically, like if but let's answer it together. Let's answer it together. You'll see you see how we're going to answer this. So Papa Charlie, thank you very much. You are already there. So if you don't answer amount equals to zero, that's basically amount not equal to zero. If you remember, where something equal to, where something not equal to. I don't know if you remember, I was talking about the greater than, less than, equal to, not equal to, is null, null. Do you remember?
As in where we use the exclamation sign and
Yeah, that's it.
equal to.
Yes, exclamation sign equal to. That's basically not equal to. Let's answer this together. Let's answer this together. The question looks quite long and it looks a bit, the complexity of the question is a bit, it looks a bit up there, but I'd like to tell you that it's not as up there as it seems. It's not as complex as it seems. So let's answer this together. So from our schemas, we actually have all the things we need. We actually have staff. We actually have a staff database, staff IC database, a staff table. We actually have a staff table. We actually have a payment table also. So it's asking us about payments. So we are probably I'm saying staffs. So we're probably either going to be looking at the payment table or we're going to be looking at the staff table. So let's find out which one we're going to be looking at first. So let's see select all from staff. So let's see whether it's a staff table we're looking at in this case to give us an answer. Select all from staff. So staff will just have we have the name of the staff. So this is not going to give us our desired result. So let's check instead of staff, let's check the payment. So if we can use the payment table to answer our question. Remember, if you remember, I don't know if you remember me saying this, but this database, everything in this database, apart from, I mentioned some other things that we don't need, from from a store or from two stores actually. They have two branches of the stores that sell DVDs, right? If you remember me saying something like that. So when we're looking at the payment table, don't be confused. Oh, why are you using payment? Remember, this is a database from a company. I don't know if that's clear. Oh, can we hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we can proceed. We can proceed. We can proceed. So let's
Yes.
check the payment. Select all from payments. Okay. We have things like, okay, we have staff ID. We have the rental rate. We have the, so let me just talk about the staff ID. just briefly. Just now we looked at the staff table and we just saw two things in the staff table. I don't know if you remember. In this staff ID, we either have ID1 or ID2. So let's look at the staff ID, the staff table again. Select all from staff. So where is ID1? Where you see one, whatever staff ID1, you know it's Mike Hillier. That's, you can see staff ID just 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So 1 will be for Mike Hillier, 2 will be for John Stevens or Stephens or Stevens, John Stevens, John Stevens, John Stevens. So we're actually going to use the payment table to answer this question. So let's look at it. Let's look at it. So your manager wants to ask you which of the 2 employees, so we just have 2 employees, is responsible for more payments. We want to know which of the 2 is responsible for more payments. So let's look at it. So we're going to be using the staff the payment table first of all. So let's start with our select query. Select staff ID because I want to see which of the 2. Now I'm going down. Which of the 2 employees, right? Select app staff ID. We're interested in the IDs of the staff, which we can know that it's this staff or that staff. ID1 is either Mike Hillier or ID2 is either John Stevens. Mike Hillier or John Stevens. So select staff ID. So if you look at the payment table now, so this is let's look at the payment table. We're looking at it. We're doing this amount. So amount basically are like each transactions that are going on in the office. How much are they spending? How much are the customers spending? Right? Remember which employees is responsible for more payments. That means basically which employee has brought more sales income, or which employee have people patronized more. Which employee have people patronized more. So we're interested in the amount. We're interested in the amount. No, not just amount, because we want to see the total, like total amount per employee, total amount or total payments or total transactions, anyhow you want to call it. So we'll say sum, not some payments, because we don't see any column here called payments, but some amount. Some amount. We are not done. We are not done. We're not done. We're not done. We'll also say count all. We'll also say count all. We'll also say count all. So I'll tell you why as we go on. So from payments, of course. And now what are we going to group by?
Staff ID.
Yes, I'm going to group by staff ID. Group by staff ID, because staff ID is the only non-aggregate this thing in the select. And now remember, we want to get the one that is responsible for the highest overall payment amount. So now that will be order by, right? Order by. What are we ordering by? The sum of amounts. The sum of amounts. We don't have amounts, we have sum of amounts. In what order? In descending order, DESC. So if I run this, let's see what happens. Oh, we are able to now see. We're able to now see. So this okay. We're able to see the what we're actually able to see three different things. We're able to see the staff ID. We're able to see the amount of total amount of transactions per or payments per each staff. Like, okay, this staff generated this or more people or patronized this staff, or probably not, doesn't need to be more people, because we have the DVDs might be different amount, but like one brought in a higher revenue than the other. And what the counter is doing in this case is showing us the total amount of transactions. Not like now, this sum amount is showing us the total amount of payment, like the total payment amount, right? So the count or is showing us the total, not say amount, sorry, number of transaction per each staff. So it means that the person with staff ID 2 has made or has sold up to 3,000. This is what I'm saying, that 3,927, let's say dollars, or let's say naira worth of movies, and that amount was from how many how many purchases, or how many orders, basically. That's 7,992. So objectively, if you look at this, although the person with customer ID 2 sold more, you can see his counts, or let's say had more transactions. He has like 8,057 transactions. The one with a lesser transaction amount was able to sell more, or was able to make more total, like his total sales, like basically like his total amounts, or the total transaction, or whatever, how we call it, the total money made from just 7,992 transactions is more than the second person whose transaction was more. But unfortunately, having more people coming to patronize you doesn't necessarily equate into having more income. Because what if they are patronizing you for cheap products? What if they are coming to buy the ones that is cheapest from you? Why the other person now, although he doesn't have much customers like that, the products, the customers, the few customers, or the fewer customers come and buy, are way more expensive than the other person. So I suspect that is what went on in data. So the person with staff ID 2, I mean, we can find out who that person is from select or from staff. Basically, he had fewer customers or fewer transactions, right? But the total amount made from these transactions is more than the second person. I don't know if you can see or get what I'm saying. Any questions?
From my end, no, sir.
How about you, Glory? If I ask you to explain what I did, will you be able to?
No.
Do you say no? I think I heard a yes.
No.
Why?
Okay, first I thought payment and this staff thing was two different tables, but now I understand it's one table. But now I thought when you say sum amount, I thought you were counting the sum of IDs. Actually, the first time I thought that query is not making sense, because I thought you were counting the summation of the IDs.
No. It doesn't make sense to sum the ID. That's the amount. That amount. This thing is the money the customer spends, because it's a DVD rental, so rent a DVD.
So it means there are only two staff in that organization.
Yes.
Mr. Gosa,
Yes.
I want to ask. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
When
Sorry.
I saw the count, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
When I saw the count function, select staff ID, sum amount, count all.
Yes.
I was thinking it's going to bring in the whole data. Excuse me.
Sorry.
I was thinking it's going to bring in the remaining other columns on the table.
Okay. No. That's not what the count all does. The counter basically, first, I mean, you're saying basically a lot, but the counter counts each row instance. So what do I mean? So I think if I say select all from payment, You see what's going on here? We have 10,000 out of 16,400 or 16,049. I don't know if you can see that. It's just showing us just a few 10,000 rows out of 16,499. So this count odd now, right? It's showing us each row instance, but that's basically each transaction. So if I have a calculator, I don't know, calculator, and I maybe add what's going on here, 7299. So let's see if we're correct on that. It might be close, it might be far, but I think it should be correct. Plus 8057. Yes. I don't know if you can see the calculator and what happened there. So a person having 7,992 transactions, right? Each transaction you have different things going on. The person, the ID of the person that's selling, the amount the customer is buying each CD and everything, right? You can see when I count the amount of transaction per customer, it totals the you can see the total is 16,049. And remember when I did select all from payments, all the way down, you see how many rows? 16,049. This is the total transactions in general that we have. But it's just showing us the output is showing us is 1,000 out of 16,049. I don't know if that count has been demystified a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, I get the picture.
And so basically each row.
In essence, the count function basically counts the rows and not the columns.
Yes. It's not counting the columns, it's counting the row per column. So it's like, okay, we have several columns now of different things going on. We have several columns, But although we have several columns, you can see number one now is showing all this for multiple columns. So it's counting this row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, etc. So all the columns of this, I'll put everything in row 1. So this one now is everything here.
I think I get the idea that the column function basically, sorry, not the column function, the count function basically counts the rows.
Yes. Yes, it does. 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 So we are actually not done with the question. We are actually not done with the question yet. Because okay, we know which one is higher is responsible for the higher overall payments, but we also need to answer the remaining parts. The remaining parts. The remaining parts. The remaining parts. And the remaining part is not even crazy. Because now, want to see if there's any change. If you consider amount, if you say basically if you don't want the amount where it's 0, we actually want anything more than 0 in the amount, because maybe it might be possible that in our data sets or we didn't record, we're not sure of the amount the customer purchased the the CD, bought, or would I say bought, rented the CD. We're not sure the amount. Maybe the person, the storekeeper, or the store manager, or not the store manager, maybe the store employee, right, or the staff. Yes, that staff. Let's say the staff didn't put anything there, and or maybe forgot to put, and when you remember, he had forgotten the value, something like that. But in all this kind of we're just trying to simulate what if there was something happening, or maybe there was something wrong, yeah, and at some certain point, instead of giving an input, something like 0 was just put in. So the answer to this is almost the same thing. It's basically the same query we wrote, but I'm just going to tweak it differently. What do I mean by tweak it differently? So I'll say additional. I'm just going to tweak it differently by putting where amount not equals to 0. That's it. By putting where amount not equals to 0, we're done with this. But let me ask the question. Where am I going to put the where? If I paste this now and I want to put where amount not equals to 0, where am I going to put the where in? Like what order? Is it going to be after the group by? Is it going to be after the order? Is it going to be after the from? So where am I placing that filter now inside our queries? Anybody?
I think the where clause from the ones we've done previously is supposed to come by order, come before order. But I don't know about where the group by, whether it's supposed to come before the group by, or is it supposed to be in between? I don't know.
So should I put the where here?
The ones we've done before, the where clause always comes before order.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I'm not.
How about the group by now? Is it in the right place also?
I really don't know with regards to that group by, because this is the first time we're using the group by.
Let's go all the way up. Let's go all the way up. Select from, then where.
Okay.
So where comes before group by, and group by comes before having. And as far as I say having, I'm not done having yet. Group by comes before order by. So if there's a group by, if there's an order by, a where is going to come before group by, a group by is going to come before order by. So that's what's going to happen here. So our arrangement or our placement now, let's go down of the where, it's going to be after the from. So remember, we said wanted the amount not equal to 0. The amount, that's going to be exclamation mark according to Papa Charlie equal to 0. Let's run this. Let's see if there's any difference. So did it differ?
No, it
I
didn't.
think it did.
It's actually not supposed to differ anyway, because I wanted to know if it differed.
It differed.
Yeah?
The first person's first person was 7992 and 8057. But now we have 7983 and 8242. So meaning that we could actually see in our data sets or in our table.
Okay, but
Let's
the
check.
sum didn't differ.
Some didn't differ, yes. It looks like it didn't differ. I'm not sure. Yes, I think it's the same thing, but the instances of transaction, it differed. It differed. So we can actually decide to take take a zoom, a little bit of zoom into what's going on. You can actually see where amount equals to 0. Let's see what's going on. Or let's do it like this. Let's see by what I'm going to change this. I'm just going to say select all. That's not what I mean. Select all from payment where amount equals to 0. Then you group by. Oh, we can add the group by there regardless. We can do it group by regardless. Okay, we don't need it. Column payment group by, so we don't need that. So payment, select all from payment where other. This don't need that. So sorry. So we actually have some places where amount is equals to 0. So, but why it's the sum did not differ? Because I mean, amount when we remove amount, if we it's like the thing is, if we leave amount equals to 0, right, which was the first thing we did, we didn't specify where amount not equals to 0. Zeros won't really add anything to our data, whether we remove where is zeros or leave where is zeros. Since it's zeros regardless, it not add or subtract anything from our data. I don't know if you get.
Yes, I.
Because it's zeros, like zero, if you remove the zeros, it's not still going to change the answer because nothing was added in the first place. Nothing was added in the first place. Please give me like 50 seconds. I want to just quickly pause this call. But let's just look at this a bit. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry for the breaking transmission. Yes, so yes, where Babachari, did you understand the explanation? And Glory also, did you understand the explanation? I want us to all be in sync.
Personally, no. What is the meaning of the exclamation mark? Kindly, I forgot.
You know, if I say where amount is equal to 0. So what I did here was I just want to see where the amount is actually equal to 0 in our data. And we have some places actually. The exclamation mark, if I say equal to 0, you understand this? Where amount equals to 0, you understand that?
Yes, yes.
So if I don't want the one that the amount is equal, like if I want the one that is not equal to 0, what would I do now? I'll actually put exclamation mark before the equal to. Exclamation mark is like saying not equal to, it's saying not. I don't want equal to 0, but I want exclamation mark equals to 0. That's not equal to 0. How does it feel better?
Yes, yes, yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, no problem. We can move on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now we are about to, because we have covered the group by now. We still have, we still have some interesting questions. We still have some interesting questions though. Still have some interesting questions. We still have some questions too. A lot of questions actually, but they are very basic. They're quite basic. But yes, it's to sharpen our knowledge. So we have a question directly addressing the having clause here. So already have a question directly addressing the having. So if you remember the structure I just showed us, group by is supposed to come before the having. In the question I just showed us, group by is in the structure. So let me just show you. Seeing is better than talking sometimes. Select from where, group by, then having. So if I was adding having to my data and my query, and I have I'm grouping by something, having will appear after the group by. But if there's no group by, having will appear after the where. So let's actually look at the question that's showing up there. Let's try to answer it together. Wow, I just realized that this one question that we just did took about 20 something minutes. That's the thing about more there are some kind of questions like this. It just takes a while to decomplicate. So let me copy and paste the question. Sorry. Find the categories with more than 20 movies. So we have a lot of fear not, we have a lot of questions on group by and having a lot that will polish our skills a bit better. So find rating categories with more than 20 movies. So that is question, was it question 13? Question 13. So how do we answer this? Let's answer it together. Select. So we know we're looking at rating, right? Rating. Count all. This is how I'm going to answer it. I'll explain it. From, so it's actually quite straightforward. If you see this, if you see the rest of the queries. From the film, of course, from the film table. And of course, group by, because I have count all there. And I have rating, so group by rating. So this is, I think this is familiar to what we just did not too long ago. But it's saying, okay, we want, we see, find rating categories. Basically, before I even run, let's even run this. Remember I said it when you have the group by, so this is group by. Group by is used for when we have aggregate and non-aggregate functions. So we're grouping by non-aggregates in this, which is rating. I remember the group by categorizes things by what you're grouping in by. So in this case, we set group by rating. So it's going to count everything per rating. So I've done this before. Like, okay, number of movies or number of this thing falling under this rating, R rated, G rated, PG-13, and everything. That's what it does. But now we want where there's greater than 20 movies. So this will actually output the same thing. So let's say greater than 200 movies. Let's change the question. So this will be having count all. So I will tell us the difference between having and where. Having count all equals to 200. Or say greater with more than 200 movies. So that will not be equal to, that will be greater than 200. Let me run this. So you can see it's reduced. When we did select or select rating count or from film. So basically it's categorized, the entire thing by, okay, this is the amount of films under the R rated, under the G rated, because this is looking at the film table, right? So film table giving us information about the film. We have amount of film under the PG, amount of number of number, anyhow you want to say it, PG-13, NC-17, etc. Now, me saying having count all, right? Having the number of amounts greater than 200, that's what it means here. Having count all here, count all in this case is giving us the number of categories per rating. So having the total number of, this thing greater than 200. That's why when I run this, we really see PG-13 and NC-17. Let's find out. PG-13 and NC-17. So this count all is a bit tricky. It's not really tricky, but you need to know the difference, because if you notice, we have been filtering our query outputs by saying where. If you go back to what things we have been doing, if you want to say, okay, where something is equal to something, you say where something we always did that in the where clause, where something greater than 200, where something equals to 20, where something in this, where something not equal to 0. We are used to working with the where clause. We are used to working with the where clause, and it's very good the way it's working with where clause. But here comes the dilemma. What if now because the where, if the thing to note about the where is that the where works for basically anything, but the where does not work for aggregate functions. What do I mean? You might be tempted to think, looking at this question, that I need to just say where count all. So let's X this. Where count all is greater than 200. This is the tempting answer. So I'll say tempting answer. Tempting answer. It's tempting to think this is the answer. Why? Because I mean, count all, say, it categories, which is what we use the count all to get greater than 200. You might think, oh, this is the way forward, but unfortunately, it's not. It's not the way, and why I say it's not because it's greater than. Of course, you can say greater than in the where. It's not because he has a number. Of course, you can bring a number. You can filter by a specific number in where, but Where, about too many words, where this is wrong is count or is an aggregate function. Is an aggregate function. Unfortunately, you cannot filter. Note, you cannot filter. Note, you cannot filter your output, yeah, by an aggregate function in the where clause. So putting this count or down is going to give us an error. So you can see the answer, you can see the error. I love Postgres for this. I love PGAdmin for this error. Aggregate functions are not allowed in where. I don't know if I'm the only one saying this. Aggregate functions are not allowed in where. The issue is not greater than 200. It's not because of any other thing, but the fact that we cannot filter aggregate, or we cannot filter by aggregate in the where clause. We cannot filter by aggregate. So tempting, but wrong answer. Let's say but wrong answer. So that is where the having comes in. That is where, let me put this, maybe I should put this under, and I say, okay, accurate answer. That's where the having comes in. The having's main purpose, the having's purpose is for you to be able to filter by an aggregate condition. The purpose of having is for you to be able to filter by an aggregate, what? Aggregate function. So that is why when we run this now, you can see our output. No wahala, query successfully run, etc. So any questions? What do you think of this query? Quite easy, right? A bit too easy though.
Yeah, I've understood. You use where when you're not using aggregate. When you introduce an aggregate, you use serving.
Yes, you are there. You are there.
So,
You are there.
Mr. Gosa,
Yeah.
in essence, what you're saying is actually not possible for where and having to be in the same query.
Nope. That's not the essence, sorry. Where and having can actually be in the same query. I can, let's say I want this, let's just do that normal. Let's say I can say where rating is not null. Where can actually be together. But what I'm saying is not null. So you're gonna give us the same output. It seems that rating is there's no null column for the rating. Oh, yes, basically, yeah. Where and having can actually be in the same query. You can see now. Where and having can also actually be in the same query. But the thing is that where and having function differently. You can have more. Is where and having is where is filtering your outputs. Having is filtering your output, but where is filtering by non-aggregates. Having is filtering by aggregates. That's why the count all cannot be put. You can see they can function in this, like you can have a query with where and having together. But I cannot filter in my where by say sum. I cannot say where maybe sum of maybe something else, sum of something is not, it can't work. That sum is an aggregate function. What is it doing in the where? You should get out and go to the having because it can't work. You can see Postgres errors. Quite simple, quite sweet, and straight to the point. Cannot use aggregate functions in the where clause. I don't know about what you think.
Okay.
Any issue, Papa Charlie?
No. I'm clear. I'm clear that you
Cool.
cannot use the where function to filter aggregates. To filter aggregates, you use the having function.
Sharp. Sharp, eh? Sharp. So with this now, let's go ahead and see if we can attempt the next one. Okay, this is interesting. Counts. This is one. Let me look at this question. This question have a. This question. Okay, this is group by. There's no having here. This is good. So let me just print it out for you. You will do this one. This is just group by. There's no having. Okay, let's do this next one. 15. Let's do this 15. Let's do 15. I should change this language name to language ID, actually. If I want to get the language name, don't worry, you won't understand what I'm trying to do here. But if I want to get the language name, I have to use a join. I have to probably use a join. So identify language ID with an average movie. So we actually have a language table, first of all. Select all from language. Let's give you some high level information. This. But in a language table, we just have three things. We have the ID, we have the name. So if ID is 1, you know it's English. The movie is an English movie. If its ID is 2, Italian movie, and this last update. When was the last coins of whatever of your this thing in the data? But that's not what I want to show you. Because why I'm showing you this is because we're actually going to be looking at this or answering this question from the film table. So that's select all from film. Notes in the language table tells us the language of the film, select all from film. Unfortunately, the film table, this information you don't necessarily need to know it at least right now. Unfortunately, if you look at the film table, we don't have anything called language, but we have language ID. We have an additional column showing the actual language, whether it's actually English. But from the language table, we can see it. For what we want to do, right? If we actually want to, because you'll see the queries and we'll do it together. What we want to do, because like from the film table doesn't actually have the language name, but the language table has the language name. If we actually want to see the language name, like if because our query output is going to query the film, but the language and a film doesn't have language name. So if we actually want to see the language name, we're actually supposed to use a kind of something called a join to get to be able to a join basically will create a new table or show us a query output, like basically join the language and the film table together. So in a way, if it's not joined together, I can see the language, the actual language from the ID. But we're not there yet. We're actually going to be exploring joins in our next class, God willing. But so let's actually answer what we have to answer here. I want to just tell us this, so that when you see the output, be like, okay, why not the language? The language is actually on another table. If we wanted to see the output of a language, that's why I changed the ID. We'll have to do some joins, and we're not doing joins right now. So let's answer the question of this number. Some people say, let's answer the question. Okay. So let's answer the question. That will be select. The question is select language and different language ID was average. Okay, that's language ID. Language ID. Come on. Average length, average movie length. So let's check whether it's length. That is length. Just confirm. We have length. Yes. So that's average length. LENGTH. I'm not done. From film. From film. Okay. Now we have to actually remember this is an aggregate, this is a non-aggregate. We have to group by language ID, right? Am I right, Glory? Glory, am I right? Okay, we are right.
Yeah.
Yes. Group by language ID. But we're not done yet. This just give us the okay, we actually just have, looking at this data, we just have one basically all the films in the film table. Looking at this answer now, all the films in the film table are in English. Because when we group by language ID, we're only seeing one. That means they are all in English. It means they're all in English. But assuming they were not all in English, how would we continue to answer this question? Because this is not the final answer. This is not the final answer. This is not the final answer. So I would not say having, because one to an average movie length greater than 100 minutes, right? So having what? Average length, GTH. This one's quite easy, greater than 100. So let's see if the query differs, the answer differs. It's gonna be the same thing basically, because we just all have one language. So yes, this is how, just imagine we had multiple languages in the film. I could have cross-checked that a bit before I showed us this. Yes, just if I have multiple languages, this will make more sense. But this is just one, it's looking as if, well, what's the point, what's the purpose? But you can see we have basically filtered the outputs by having average length greater than 100. So the average length of the output is showing us is greater than 100. And that's why you can see 115.27, this thing is greater than 100. The average length that we did is of course going to show us what's greater than 100. I hope I'm not being confusing. Okay, should we try to answer some more questions? We actually have one. Okay, we actually have some more questions. All for us. But I will stop here a bit, and I would like our guidance on question 16. So let me show us question 16. I would like our guidance on question 16. So I'm just going to copy. I think this one will be quite easy. So with our knowledge of so far so good, like what we've taught, I want to be guided on how we can do this easy question. Papa Charlie, Glory, please, I need guidance on this. Or we could share our screen.
Let's just guide you. So we just.
Okay, no problem. Please, I need your guidance.
Okay, let me give it a try. Calculate the total rental duration and count movie per rating. Okay, select.
Okay, select.
Sum.
Sum.
Yes. Open bracket, total rental duration.
Rental duration. Okay.
Comma. Count. Open bracket, movie ratings.
Movie rating, okay.
Ratings,
That'll be
ratings, that will be ratings.
Yeah.
From film.
From film.
Is there anything else?
Is there? We
Calculate
are
total rental duration, count of
per
movie
rating. We have not put the rating.
per rating.
Like we have not put the rating in the select statement. So we actually have per rating. So we actually want to see what's going on. per rating. If I do it like this, it'll work. Or it should work. But yes, now like it's not grouped by anything. We basically want to group by the rating.
Okay, okay.
So we want to see not just sum and counts, like want to see per rating. So of course, when we put rating in here now, if you remember, I think we have to group by rating, right?
Okay, group by rating.
By- Let's see how this changes. Let's see how this changes. Okay. So it's almost like what we did before, looking at this.
What's the sense of putting rating before select and you are still putting rating at count?
Remember, the answer Papa gave before, we were just seeing the general picture. The question says we want to see it per rating. We don't want to just see the sum and the like and counts for the total. Like if we did like what we did before, I just copy this and paste. Right, this method, this one here. Oops.
I think what Glory just wants us to do is to count all instead of count rating. I don't know.
Okay, we can also do count all. So this count there, that count rating is looking at just from the rating column. And we know that we actually know in our data that's okay. We have a rating per each transaction, per each film, there's a rating. Per each film, there's a rating. Per each film, there's a rating. So it's going to give us the same output, basically. So that we say count all now is using, like when we say selector, it's using like the full row index, regardless of the column. So it's just looking at everything, column, row one, row two, row three. Now, this count rating that Papa Charlie said, why it's giving us the same answer is okay, it's looking at it just from the rating column. So each row in the rating column. So the count rating, we should zoom on the rating column. So per row, per row, per row for just the rating column. But count all is per everything. It's looking through everything and it's giving us per row everywhere. On that row, as long as there's something, on that row, as long as there's something, on that row, as long as there's something, so infinity and beyond. That's why it gives us the same thing. That's why it gives us the same thing. So one more, so we're basically, we have grasped the concept of group by and having. We have grasped the concept of group by and having. So they're just, what we have here, just different order, actually multiple questions, but if you look at them, they're quite easy. They're quite easy, they're quite easy. So I want us to answer together question, so question this. So your manager, I think this one is quite easy. Your manager wants to get, let me post it now, this thing. Your manager wants to get a better understanding of the films. That's why you are asked to write a query to see the maximum or see the minimum, maximum, rounded, let's see, okay, rounded, 0 decimal, sum of the replacement cost of the films. What do you think? How are we going to answer this? I think this is quite simplistic also. Anybody?
I think basically we'll have 4 columns. One column for minimum, another one for maximum, one for average, one for sum. I don't really understand what it means by of the replacement cost of the film. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
No. Let's if you look at the film table, select all from film. Say all as from film. We actually have a what's it called? A column called replacement cost. If you look at it, yeah, except I'm mistaken. if you look at it, why is it taking a bit of time? Let it load, let it load, let it load. I think maybe I should use something different. Okay. We actually have replacement cost. So basically, if maybe if the film, if they after borrowing the CD, they lose it, that's how much they'll pay to replace the DVD or the CD.
Okay, in this essence, for clarity, I'm just asking. Okay, my thought. Let me not say I'm asking. My thought is, we are looking for the minimum replacement cost, the
Okay.
maximum replacement cost, average replacement cost, then the sum total of the if I'm not mistaken, that's my working thought. I don't know if I'm correct, sir.
You're correct.
Okay.
You're correct. So basically, this you have answered the question. Well, not, this is just even group by. This is not even having. But I like the question to look like this. It just looked a bit long and confusing. This is just having. This is just we're not even using having here. We're not setting the condition to say where the sum replacement clause is more than this or more than that. So this will give us a direct answer. So if we want to answer this, we can answer it directly. I've given us answers. Let me just write it for you. So we want the minimum, right? Mean replacement cost. It just looks like a long question, but it's not it's not even as complicated as you might think. It means cost. This is just gonna take time, but yeah. Cost. Let me do this. Copy. So that's the main. That's the max. Right. Replacement cost. That's the average AVG. Replacement cost for rounded to 0 decimal. So that'll be round. This will be average. This will be comma. 0 decimal place. And we want the sum also. So let me put the sum, the comma, sum of what replacement cost, right? From film. So that this is basically it from film. It's just aggregate function in the select. It's just aggregate function in the select. Just aggregate functions in the select. I don't know how it's looking like. What do you think? What do you think, Glory? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Sorry.
Yeah. What we think? So far, so good.
For me, I think the last one is direct, so it's not hard to get.
Very easy. It's quite easy. It's quite easy. It's quite easy. So what I'm gonna do now, I actually have a Google Drive link because there's a lot of questions to answer here, but they're not complex. I'm going to send a Google Drive link with all of these questions. So they're just having group by small examples. These languages have with more than 5 modules, so they are not really complex questions, but they are quite much though. So I would say um let's answer from 17 to 22. Or let's do this. From 6 this using aggregate functions with group data. We'll choose that's from 17, right? We'll choose about 3 questions per subtopic. 3 questions per subtopic. 3 questions per subtopic. That's looking from 16. That'll be 9 questions. So you choose your 3 to answer. You can choose. It's not if you can answer one, you can answer anyone. If you have been following in class, you be just I make sure to give us multiple. I created several instances of working with this database or data sets. to just give us a bit of polish. But if you want to, you could you could go through everything and try to answer everything. So that will be from question 16, from using aggregate function of group data. Just answer 3 per subheading that you see. 3 per distance. So it's not crazy, it's not crazy, it's not crazy at all. They are just questions that I just made the questions a lot so that we can have as much practice as we can, because we'll be entering a bit more complex concepts very soon. Very soon. So if you check the chat right now, the Zoom chat, what do I get access to, right? The Zoom chat right now, you see a link, a Google Drive link. It seems I've not copied it. Copy a Google Drive link right now, where you will be able to get.
Why don't you share it in the WhatsApp? Because
Okay, I'll also share it in WhatsApp. I'll share it in WhatsApp also. I'll share it in WhatsApp also. I'll share it on WhatsApp right now. So from 16, we choose 3 per subheading or 3 per group. But are free to choose any 3. We could even do more if we want. We could even do more if we want. So I don't want. I think I'll stop recording from here. I'm seeing that we just have basically a few seconds. But so far so good. Have we been able to grasp
are
these
those questions
concepts?
part of what you
Part of
are
what
these
we
questions part of what you have been doing in class? Like it's a
yes,
continuation
this
or
group
it's
I'm
an
having.
all new set?
It's just many more questions. We still covering this database, but I just created many questions maybe to practice group by having a lot different types of questions. But it's the basics is the group by having.
Okay.
It's covering the concept. It's not going to go more than what we taught in class, because I could make it more complicated. I could add joins, but I'm not going to add joins. Working that's basically combining a table with multiple tables in SQL. So hopefully in our next class, we'll be exploring the concept of joins. Very interesting concept. Very interesting concept. So right now, what we'll be doing, we'll be working on just one table, just one table. What if we work on multiple tables? Like now, the example I gave now was that the language we have on that table now, that the language actually you can see the ID and the language name. What if we wanted in the film, that from film, that wanted also to bring the language name? Unfortunately, we did not have it in the film table. So if we wanted to bring it, we'll have to join the tables together. So it's interesting concept, very interesting concept. So we'll talk about this interesting concept in our next class. And so thank you very much from Toshem. We are very appreciative. We thank you guys for your continued knowledge and your support and everything. So we hope to be SQL rockstars by the end of our final session as we go. So thank you very much. Hope you have a nice, wonderful evening, a wonderful day.
Yeah, and you too. And you too. Have a nice evening.
Yeah. Take care.
Yeah.